Hey friends, Shawn here with Manly Made Minute, and we're going to do another evening of my 30-day watercolor challenge. And if you go back and watch my last video from yesterday on what I am doing, I'm just basically coloring the same stamp set for 30 days as my kind of evening kind of thing, so I can practice on getting better at florals and watercoloring and shading. Again, this is I learned from a good friend of mine on Instagram, Carrie Ingram Trainer. Look her up. She's a fabulous CapCut colorist, and she told me this is what she did when she just learned how to CapCut color. She took a pumpkin every night and did it for I don't know how long, and just practice. So as they say, right, practice makes perfect. So that's what I'm doing. Second night videotaping this, third night doing it. Let me go back and show you my first two evenings. And so this was my first one I did. And I just did 2 shades of blue and shaded it, and then 3 shades of green for the greenery. Then I did this one yesterday. And so I did a pink and then some shades of pinkish red to do my shading. Again, I'm just practicing. Then last night I took both of these and I did some silver and black splatter. Again, this is crafting on the go. So I'm using my crafting on the go kits in my hotel room. I tried to do this as nice as I could. And again, as you know, any ink splattering, it gets everywhere. So I got it on the walls, all over the desk of the hotel, and I had to wipe things down so I didn't ruin anything. So I may wait and do my ink splattering once I get home and add other details to these, but literally I'm just practicing my shading. So this evening, I'm gonna go out off of the first 2 things I learned by doing this for the first 2 nights. One, I didn't put these on watercolor paper. When I go home for the weekend and make some more for next week, I'm going to do watercolor paper. So this, Nina takes it much different. It soaks into the paper. I don't have puddling, and the water doesn't stay on the surface to work with as much, but I'm still practicing and still trying it. Second, tonight, I'm going to try 2 very contrasting colors, my yellow and my orange here, just to see if I can show the difference between the 2 colors and what my shading looks like versus staying in the same tonal family to do it. Because now I just want to look at overall, how does this look and how am I doing by showing 2 contrasting colors. So let's get started. Same stamp set. I'm going with yellow peonies and green leafy, and then my orange for shading this time for my contrast. So also I learned after the second time of doing petal by petal and not doing petals next to each other until it's somewhat dry so I don't get as much bleeding. Again, the paper I'm using, VersaFine ink. I did not emboss these, which this would be much easier embossed, but I want to learn how to do both because I know you can do this with inked and no line and all that stuff. So I don't want to rely on the embossing all the time to control it. I just want to get better at the craft. So, all right, let's get started. I'm going to wet down each individual petal at a time as I go, and we'll get started. Rather than sit here and talk the whole time and have you sit here for an hour, I will speed this up and set this to music, and we'll come back and look at this at the end. Okay, here you have it. Attempt number 3. I did the contrasting colors of yellow and orange just to see my technique of shading, how I'm doing. I think from last night, a tiny bit better on technique, I think. One thing I've learned, and it's hard with this paper, to be very honest. I know I should be using watercolor paper. However, if I'm going to make it work, I've noticed this time around, let the water do the work for me. So I tried to soak my spots just a little bit more where the shading was and literally do a drop and let that bleed and bloom naturally versus try to draw it in and then spread it out where I want it. It just seemed to work much better tonight than it did last night, where I tried to draw a little bit better or more than I did tonight. I tried to let things bloom. The other learning thing tonight is less is more sometimes. I felt like I overdid it on this flower, trying to do some shading of the foldovers versus just doing less. On this one, I left a little bit more yellow, and I felt like that would have worked better on this flower, so less is more. But there you have it. So let me just show you really quick again. This is attempt number 1, attempt number 2, and now this evening, attempt number 3. I do think I went a little too dark on some of this, but I know this will dry back because that's still a little damp. But I like it. I'm actually really liking progress. So attempt number 3. Hey all, thank you so much. Really quick, this is the Manley watercolors that I took with me. Not very big, super thin pack is what I used tonight. First night I used my Tim Holtz watercolored pencils in this little mini tin that I got on Amazon. Find my first video, and all the links to all this stuff is in that video. I won't, since I didn't use it tonight, I won't link it. But this was the watercolored pencils that I used the shavings. Added the shavings in here with water, let them dissolve and dry. Love these little tins. So this is the Tim Holtz one with the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, and then just a generic brand container with 12 wells in it. Then I bought this extra one. I'm going to buy different shades. This one came with the metallic watercolors. I did the golds and the coppers and the silvers. There's blues and there's pinks, so I will probably buy some more. But if you look at the size, it literally fits in the palm of my hand. So perfect for travel. I used this little tin that comes with a lid that came with this as a little watercolored pack. And then I bought this on Amazon as my little watercolor palette. It is porcelain, but it's not very big. A little bit bigger than the palm of my hand. So loving my crafting on the go. Loving using this for practicing and doing a nightly practice of just perfecting your craft. And I wanted to get better at florals and watercolor. And so there you have it. Thank you all so much for hanging. If you are not a subscriber, hit subscribe on my YouTube channel. I'd love to have you follow me on Instagram, where I'm posting this video. And thanks for hanging with me, and have a wonderful rest of your week.